And now on to part 2 of episode 2 of Denise Williams. If you haven't checked out part 1, make sure you do before starting this part because there's a bunch of spoilers coming up. You definitely need to check out that one before this one. But if you've already listened to part 1, then just keep on watching. Yet they still had no evidence, no nothing that there was ever anything that happened. In 2005, Brian and Denise got married. The case stayed cold, but it was marked suspicious. Again, sadly, life just kind of went on for everyone involved here, again, besides poor Cheryl, Mike's mom, who continued to search for her son and spread his story. In 2012, Brian and Denise got into an argument and they separated. And from 2012 to 2016, they were separated. They had actually around that time bought a house right off of Lake Jackson for $650,000, but never lived in it because they separated before they had the chance to move in. During those 4 years, they stayed separated, and in August of 2016, the law enforcement got a call from Denise saying that she was held at gunpoint by her husband and that she needed help, and Brian Winchester was arrested. Apparently, they had gotten into an argument about their relationship, maybe over the phone or something like that, so he hid in her vehicle and held a gun to her ribs for a little over an hour while he told her where to drive out in the middle of nowhere, where he was going to, what police like to say, probably kill her and then kill himself. Homicide, suicide. Denise says she was able to convince him to pull over to a CVS and talk to him in that parking lot. He told her that he would let her go as long as she didn't contact law enforcement, but obviously she did. Now this actually went to court, and she actually stated in court, "Please lock this man away. I think he needs life. If I had to choose between his life and my life, I would want to choose my life." But the judge said no. He gave him 20 years for kidnapping his wife and a restraining order once he was released on Denise. He was not allowed to be around her whatsoever, and he would also be like on probation and all that kind of ordeal. And once again, everybody went on with their life besides Cheryl, who's still searching for her son, Brian Winchester, who is locked up in prison, and here is Denise Williams out with her daughter, living her life. That's when State Attorney Jack Campbell said he would love to use Winchester's current criminal case to help solve the Williams case. So this man from the get-go of seeing these two cases was like, there's a lot of suspicion here. I think there's a lot more to this than what people think. And it really makes you think that from the beginning. Even my first time listening to this, I was like, oh, they did it. You know, like there's just no way around it. But not having any type of evidence to get them with was the tricky part. Just 1 year into Brian Winchester's sentencing of 20 years, he had to confess. He took a plea deal and said he would spill his guts for immunity of anything involved with the Michael Williams case. This is when things are going to start getting heated here, because this is when everybody was literally jumping for joy at having finally nailed these two people, one of which was getting immunity. So keep that in mind while I tell you guys the rest of this. Brian Winchester says the affair started 3 years prior to Mike's disappearance with Denise Williams. He, in fact, had said he talked to Mike about 3 life insurance policies, and that one of them was for $1 million, and that he talked to Mike about this, and it would take place of a $500,000 one, which would lapse in 2001. But remember, Mike went missing in 2000. So there was a $500,000 one and there was a $250,000 one that Mike knew about. I don't think anybody is sure if Mike really honestly knew about the $1 million one that was out. I think Brian just said that they had talked about it, but I think Brian just kind of made it official. At the same time, he was also discussing these life insurance policies with Denise and ways that they could be together. They even talked about killing both Mike and Kathy. So this is part where I say, yes, the best friend and the wife actually did it. It literally is a movie. They talked about having them go out fishing and them fall, and I quote this, fall over in the water and drown. And Denise and Brian be the rescuers that are a little too late. But Brian ends up saying, no, I can't kill the mother of my son. So they settle on just Mike because I guess Denise didn't care. Denise did care about what people would think of her and did not want to be called divorced. She thought widowed sound a lot better and more sympathetic for her. The time of events came down to the life insurance. They thought that if they were going to do it, they better do it when they would get the most out of it. So they started plotting what would happen. Denise is to stay at home so she can make calls and have an alibi. Brian makes plans to go hunting with Kathy, his wife's father. So Brian said he would go hunting with Mike, push him out of the boat with his heavy waders on, so he drowns, rush home to his wife, Kathy, before she wakes, and then go hunting with her dad. Simple alibi, right? So Brian meets up with Mike at a gas station. He has Mike follow him out to Lake Jackson so that his Bronco is there. He doesn't want them to ride together so that he can leave in his truck. Once they are there, Mike starts getting his stuff together and Brian says, why don't you put your waders on? And Mike says, no, he actually doesn't want to. And Brian somehow convinces him to put the waders on before they get into the boat. At this point, Brian tells him that there is a certain spot on Lake Seminole that he wants to take Mike to, and so they go out on the boat together. Out on Lake Seminole, Brian gets the courage to stand up and push Mike out of the boat. But things didn't go as planned. Mike somehow was able to get out of his waders, and he wasn't drowning. He was trying to come back to the boat and get help to get back in the boat. Brian freaks out, grabs his shotgun, and he shoots Mike straight in the head. So messed up, I know. He takes Mike's body, puts it in the back of his truck, and covers him. He was running out of time for his alibi at this point because he had debated on it over and over again, the boat, and in his testimony during trial, he just said how he didn't want to do it because it was his best friend and how guilty he felt and it took him forever to do it, yada, yada, yada. He killed his best friend. But he was running out of time for his alibi and he had to get back before his wife woke up. He literally drove the truck back to his house with Mike's body in the back covered, ran and got in bed with his wife, and then got up, went hunting with his father-in-law, and then came back, grabbed his truck, went out to Carr Lake, and buried him. At this time, Carr Lake's water was very low, so he was actually able to bury him, and over the years, the water of this lake filled back up, so his body was never recovered from that. He rushed to a car wash and cleaned out the back of his truck and then met up with others as he, quotation again, as I say, got the news of Mike's disappearance. He rushed over and got in a group with people searching for Mike, and this group happened to have Mike's own father searching for his son. Mike was missing for 17 years, and the only person who never gave up on him was his mother, Cheryl. She never stopped looking for him, and even when social media became a thing, she posted everywhere looking for her son. At this point, they feel they have Denise. There's no way that she can get out of this. But what they need is a little extra help. Who do they call? Kathy Thomas, who used to be Kathy Winchester. She is remarried. They tell her everything and she says, yeah, I had my suspicions, but she stayed friends with this lady all these years. Weird. She agrees, though, to be wired and mic'd up for a phone call with law enforcement to Denise to see if she can get anything out of her. No, she never got an exact, yes, we did it, but it was enough for them to be like, okay, we got her, let's get this trial going. I feel like none of these people are true friends. This is why I stray away from friends. I can't get close to anybody because of how many true crime cases I've read. But this awful event that happened in 2000 came to an end when Mike's body was recovered in 2017. So 17 years of Cheryl missing her son, of Ansley not having a father, and the world just thinking that this man got ate by alligators. So Brian Winchester is still in prison, but will face no charges whatsoever for killing his best friend. February 7, 2019, Denise Williams was sentenced to life in prison for her husband's murder. In December of 2018, the jury found Denise guilty of all 3 charges, including conspiracy to commit murder, first-degree murder, and accessory after the fact. My heart goes out to both Denise and Mike's daughter, Ansley, and Brian and Kathy's son, which I don't know his name. My heart goes out to them because besides Mike, it doesn't seem like any of these parents were fit to be even decent human beings, honestly. Like, just my thoughts on the case. I am so glad that Denise will be sentenced to life in prison. That is amazing. It's a lot better outcome than last week's episode, which if you haven't checked it out, go listen to it or watch it on YouTube, whichever platform you're on. And let me know over on my Instagram, which is at Caffeine Crime Podcast on Instagram. Go check me out there. And on my post for this episode, let me know what you guys think. Because, I mean, is this just not insane? It almost seems like it's like a cheesy Lifetime movie or something like that. Or like I said, Stephen King and Nicholas Sparks getting together and doing like some twisted horror book film. But honestly, like it's awful. It's just, this case has always stuck with me because of just how twisted it really is and how twisted people can be. Like, you cannot trust literally anybody. Like, this is a case that makes it hard for me to like trust anybody. Like tonight I'm gonna be like in bed looking at my husband like, you better watch yourself. There you go. That is the case of Denise Williams. I'm so glad that she is going to be rotting away in prison. I am very frustrated that the man who pulled the trigger will serve the rest of his time in prison for kidnapping his crazy wife, but they didn't get him on that charge. If they didn't get him to talk, we probably would have never known what happened to Mike Williams, and poor Cheryl would have probably never had peace. She would have never been able to bury her son, and I guess in the end, you have to look at that side of things, and my heart also goes out to her because I feel like as a mom, I would be the same exact mom. She is a badass, and I would be proud to have a mom like that. But yeah, there you guys go. Again, go check out my Instagram at Caffeine Crime Podcast. That info is in the like little description area of this episode, but let me know what you guys think about this case. If you guys have any cases you'd like me to discuss, send them to my Instagram as well in a message if you like, or comment them. I would love to start up some conversations with you guys and meet some of you guys if you guys are listening. I really hope that I start growing a little family here. I love being a part of the true crime family, so hopefully I'm welcomed. And like last week's episode, I do have a blog post now up. It went live as soon as this went live, so go check it out. It is on this case. It will involve some news articles, maybe some photos, that type of ordeal from this case. Maybe something if I missed anything. The blog will be a little bit more current in time since I do kind of pre-film these. So if I missed anything, it'll be there. If you spotted something that I missed in this case that we all need to know about, then let me know on Instagram so I know to add it to my blog. My blog is allthebrienne.blogspot.com. It will also be in the description area if you'd like to check it out. Thank you guys so much if you listen to this. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week for episode 3.